So I'm going to begin this fly the way that you would begin 99% of the flies that you'll ever tie. And that's by starting the thread near the eye of the hook, bringing the thread right behind it, straight up and down. And as I bring my bobbin up, I'm just going to make one wrap right behind the eye, and then another wrap, and as I wrap I'm moving left towards the bend. And after one or two wraps, you'll see that the bobbin supports itself just because it's wrapped over itself. And at this point, you can go ahead and trim this tag end right there. And what I want to do is continue wrapping until the shank is covered. I'm going to stop right about here, right just before the bend of the hook, and I'll go ahead and apply my dubbing. This is the dubbing that we'll be using today. It's kind of a sparkly, it's a synthetic dubbing, and what I'll do is I'll just grab my bunch here and just separate about that much off. Now I always start with a little bit, and if you need more you can always build more up. So what we're going to do is we're going to build up the abdomen of the ant here, and all I'm doing is I'm placing this dubbing up right over the thread here and just twisting gently. And the tighter you twist, the tighter the dubbing will be applied to the thread, and as you twist it just stays on, and then I can slide it up to where my thread meets the shank. Let me get that. And as I wrap, this round abdomen that we're going for is just going to be slowly built up. And if you need to tighten your dubbing at the end, you can do that. A couple more wraps will do it. And as I'm running to the end of my dubbing, I'm just going to move forward here until I'm right in front of the ball. Then we're going to go ahead and tie in our hackle. When you select a hackle, what you're looking for is the length of the fibers. So you've got your shaft running down the center of each individual feather, and then as you bend them, you'll see the length of the fiber revealed. And this one's just a little bit long, but as you move closer to the tip of the feather, the fibers get shorter. So depending on what size of fly you're tying, you use different parts of the same feather. Some flies you'll use the whole feather. Now the easiest way to do this is just to pinch it in your hand here, and you lay the tip of the feather so it's sticking out just a little bit. What I'm going to do is lay the feather on the top of the shank, pinching it, and as I bring my bobbin up, straight, vertical, I'm going to pinch the thread. So the thread is still tight around the shank, but it's loose up here. And I'm going to drop this down right behind the shank, pull straight down, and as I pull, it will slide through my pinched fingers there and tighten down on the shank. I'm going to repeat that one more time. So vertical, pinch it, pull it straight down. And now this feather is attached to the top of the shank of the hook. And just for a more sturdy fly, I'm going to wrap it a few times to the left, a few times to the right, and go ahead and I'll trim the tip of this feather off like that. Now this hackle is securely tied to the top of the shank. I'm going to move my thread up the hook a little bit to about this position, halfway between the abdomen and the eye of the hook. And I'm going to use this space between where my hackle is tied in to where my thread is hanging to wrap this hackle. And as I wrap, I'm wrapping in the same direction that I wrap my thread. And every time I wrap, more of those little fibers are going to be sprung outward. And depending on how dense the fibers are on your hackle feather, depends on the number of times you want to wrap. And this is starting to look just about where I want it, and you can adjust this to your own personal tastes. So in this hand I'm going to pinch the hackle, bring it vertically, and don't worry about all these stray fibers going all these different directions. And then in my left hand I'm going to grab my bob and bring it straight up, straight down once, straight up and straight down again, Now I can let go of this because it's secured. And to make it stronger, I'm going to make a few more wraps. And kind of jiggle it just to tighten it down a little bit. And then I'll trim the rest of this hackle off. When I cinch that down, some of these fibers from the hackle are sticking forward. And I'm just going to trim those forward ones off along with this feather. I'm just going to trim it as close as my scissors will let me get. And then your hackle is in place. And then just to secure it, I'm just going to make a few more wraps. One of the problems you want to avoid at this point is wrapping too many times. If you over wrap it, then you get a ball of thread that can interfere with the rest of your fly further on in the process. So once again, we've got to make the thorax, which is the front part of the ant, and it's the exact same process as the abdomen with the exception of the size. So I'm just going to grab just a little bit less dubbing this time, separate it between my thumb and my forefinger, and I'm going to do the same thing, apply it to the thread by gently twisting it on in the same direction. Slide the dubbing up to the top, make a few wraps. See, now I can tell that I've already got too much dubbing, so all I need to do is separate the rest, and then just this teeny little bit that's left I'm just going to pinch off, twist it, pull it off, make one wrap. Okay, so now the fly is constructed. What we're going to do is finish it off. So you can see how we've used up the whole shank of the hook, and our thread is hanging right where we want it, right behind the eye of the hook. So now I'm just going to make a few more wraps to kind of finish it off right behind the eye, maybe about 3. And to finish it off, we're going to do what we call a whip finish. And to do that, I'm going to use my whip finishing tool as soon as I find it. Here it is. It's this funny looking thing here. Now you may want to watch this a few times. It can be kind of tricky the first time, but once you do it once or twice, then it's smooth sailing from then on. So I'm going to take the whip finisher, hook the front of the line and the top like this, and then I'm going to rotate my hand down, making sure that this part stays hooked. Rotate it down so that the thread is behind this loop here in the whip finisher. As I bring my left hand up, you can see that it's attached here and here. Now I can move my hand down on the tool, and as I move my left hand to the left, this automatically rotates in this direction. And what that does is it brings my bobbin thread down and it crosses the thread here. This thread is maintained vertical throughout the whole process, straight up and down. So what I want to do is bring my left hand until the thread crosses right where I want to make the knot, right up here at the top. And now I'm just going to wrap this over itself. And I'm going to do it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Now the number of times depends on the size of the head you want to make, and also the size of the fly. And in a situation like this, 5 times is plenty. And I probably wouldn't want to do much less than 5. And in this case, I probably wouldn't want to do much more than 5. So right now, this is securely in here, and I've got a little flexibility. The thread moves back and forth a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this to the left, all the way until this pops out of that loop. So now, if I bring this down, I've got a loop running around this part, and I've got my left hand holding the bobbin tight. And if I pull on my left hand gently and maintaining this taut, as I pull, the loop gets closer and closer to the head of the fly. And when I reach this point, all I need to do is slide that out, pull that tight, give it a couple bounces for tightening purposes, and that's it. I can go ahead and trim this off as close as I can without cutting the other threads, and that fly is done.